controlling in the spirit, so colorful. Easy feeling, then let's go to a place where you belong. Give it strength to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise,
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. I'm Paul. Thank you very much for tuning in for this morning's news. Still very, very hurt and a bit gutted about last night, of course, but we will talk about that. But if you do enjoy today's show, guys, don't forget to hit the like button for us. And, of course, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, please do subscribe. Free to do so. But don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will let you know when we upload any videos or we schedule our live shows. You can become a member of the Toon Review, of course, by hitting the join button just underneath myself. And you can donate to the channel this morning by hitting that $sign in the bottom of the live comments. And that will, of course, get your comment read straight out as well. Now, basically, I put what's next for Newcastle United as the subject, basically, this morning. However, you know, that can be an array of things. That can be sort of, you know, what's going to happen the rest of the season? Where do we go in the future? What kind of impact will that result have on the lads going into the next few games? So, you know, everybody's still sort of hurting from it. Everybody is still asking questions. You know, and what I wanted to do this morning is just have a decent conversation about, you know, what we think of certain players, where they stand moving forward. Look, I've been quite critical of certain players and I'll stand by it. You know, that is my opinion on these players. It doesn't mean I'm hating on them. It just means that I think they're not good enough to move forward for Newcastle United. But you have to be very careful because people will jump on you straight away and say, oh, why all the hatred? Why all the hate? It's not hatred. It's just being truthful and basically saying how you feel about certain players. And we know, every Newcastle United fan knows that there are certain players on that pitch who aren't quite at the grade that we need them to be, especially if we want to be an elite team in the Champions League. It's not going to happen with certain players. And, you know, we had an opportunity last night to go through. We didn't. We missed certain opportunities. And, you know, it still grates on me a little bit. Jimmy Jones, our resident hammer, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. He says, I can't believe I've had to spend the morning defending you lot. The jealousy is unreal. Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And some of the comments that I got under the match reaction video I did last night were just a joke. We've got Manchester United fans coming in and slagging us off. I mean, how dare they? You know what I mean? Man United fans coming in and having a go at Newcastle. Dear God. I mean, don't they have enough problems of their own? You know, Sunderland fans going on to Talk Sport saying that, you know, we've been rocked by the fact that we've got to play them in the FA Cup, and that's why our form has dipped. What a load of utter bollocks, by the way. Seriously, utter bollocks. And these people, I don't know what planet they're on. You know, and I mentioned Miggy, obviously, in the reaction video, and I had one person come at me saying, how did you expect him to score with his right foot? He was standing on it. What the hell? He's standing on his right foot. You look at that again, and it is clear as day that Miggy had an opportunity just to swing his right foot and put that in the back of the net. And yet still we have people defending him. Now, listen, I'm all for people having an opinion, and I'm all for people defending Miggy. Okay, if they love Miggy, that is fair enough. But we do have to come on to certain players, and we will do this morning. Toon Gamer, good morning to you. He says everyone is saying about resting players, but by time next round of the European Games will be February, and we will have most of our players back by then and transfers in January. Luke says, I'm so proud but so devastated. We gave it all, and unfortunately, we just couldn't cross the line. We will be back. We will be stronger. We will reach the heights never seen before. How are the lads? Very good point, but I'm very, very interested in this point by Toon Gamer, and I wanted to bring this up this morning, and I'm sure that the lads will bring it up tonight. We'll have a conversation on the actual review show as well. Toon Gamer says, am I the only one fuming? We were so open with 20 minutes left and didn't even get Europa League. Then Burn sub was wrong and game management could be better. Exactly my point. And you know what? Everybody's had a chance to digest what happened last night, and you have a look at it and you think, right, okay, what were the major factors? The fact that we were 1-1, we were in the Europa League. Why did we push so much for another goal? The opportunity was there. We were still in Europe, and we blew it because we left ourselves so open at the back. It was horrendous when I've looked back at it and thought, wow, how open were we? Absolutely horrendous to see the amount of opportunities that AC Milan got because we pushed everybody forward when the game was 1-1. You know, I think, and I've listened to Eddie after the game, and he said, look, we wanted to win the game, and Eddie's philosophy is he will always go and try and win a game. He doesn't settle for anything else but winning the game. But I think he got it wrong last night in the fact that he told the lads to push on for a winning goal when really, realistically, we could still be in the Europa League had we just kept the shape. But we didn't. We pushed and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed. And then we got caught out. You know, they hit the post twice as well. It could have been 4-1 if we're openly honest. However, the game could have been very, very different. Had certain chances gone in. That's the annoying thing for me. Charlie says, absolutely gutted with the result. Ultimately, if we are going to praise the good, we have to question the bad, and them subs were shocking. Listen, the only sub that I'm going to, that I sort of want to say this morning is the Dan Burn one for me. I think if Eddie wanted to try and push for another goal, why bring Dan Burn on? You know, you've got Lewis Hall, who is, you know, maybe his defending isn't as good as Dan Burn's, but he's better going forward. He likes to go forward, and it may have created a better opportunity for us and the opportunity to score some goals. It didn't happen like that. He brought Dan Burn on. I don't see what he's supposed to do with the other substitutes. Kieran Trippier last night was seen limping out of St. James's Park. Anthony Gordon obviously missed training because he had an injury. You then look at who else came off. Lewis Miley, he was knackered. I don't see what else Eddie could have done with the substitutions. If I'm just being honest, it's very difficult. You know, yes, Dan Burn is the questionable one, but also the goalkeeper selection. I mean, you know, you look at Dubravka last night and you think, you know, twice AC Milan, certainly the Leao break in the second half when he hit the post. Why isn't Dubravka coming out? Then you look at the next one when Tomori hits the post late on in the second half. Dubravka, again, stays back. He doesn't come out and charge down the player. So Tomori's got all of the goal to aim for. We got lucky there. We definitely got lucky. But look, I think that the crux of it is I'm massively proud of this football club, and I'm massively proud of the lads. You know, you can't fault them for effort last night. We gave it our all. It wasn't good enough at the end of the day, and we're out of Europe. We have to take that on the chin. You know, it's been a hell of a ride, a hell of a learning curve, and I think that, you know, the players will want that back again. The players will want to be back in Europe next year. They'll have a hunger for it now. They'll have a desire for it, and also so will Eddie Howe. He will have learned a hell of a lot from what's gone on last night and in the Champions League, and hopefully he will learn from his mistakes, because he has made mistakes along the line. There is no doubt about it. Stuart says, morning, everyone. Let's keep our spirits up. We've still got 2 cups to fight for. Charlie says, Miggy should have been off at half time. And why the hell is Dan Burn, who hasn't touched grass in months, coming on in a game like that? Well, he's on the bench, so he's usable, I guess. Stephen says, "What's next? Get the lads back from injury, smash our way up the league, and have a good cup run." Jacka says, "Morning team, gutted at the outcome, but let's just shake our heads and box on. There's other trophies to fight for." Indeed there is, and we'll come on to that. Mighty Mag says, "How does Eddie pick the team up for Saturday? Got some work on his hands." Look, these guys are professionals, and yes, they'll be hurting this morning. They'll have been hurting last night, as we saw at the end of the game. Certain players were absolutely devastated. You could see that. You could see that in their eyes, in the facial expressions. But look, football is all about, taking the lows and, enjoying the highs. And I think Newcastle have been on such a high. We've had a wonderful time since Eddie's come in and the new owners, but there is going to be bumps along the way. And we as fans, we have to accept that. Some fans completely overreact. I've seen a few comments again on our videos saying, "Oh, this is such a negative channel." It's not negative at all. I'll tell you what this channel is honest, right? We are not flower coating anything on here. If we see something that isn't good, we'll see it. We've all got different opinions. My opinion is different to Billy's or Alex's. We've all got different opinions, but what we will be on this channel is 100% honest and not bullshit anyone. And if we see something that's wrong, we'll say it. And when we see something great, we'll say it. That's not being negative. We are being realistic. And if you want to, put blinkers on your eyes and only think of smelling roses and everything, it's not going to be like that on this channel. And, we will always be honest and passionate about Newcastle United. Negativity is something that, we don't like. But sometimes you have to make negative comments if you're going to be honest. So, I don't foresee... I foresee that, Eddie will get the players up for Saturday, but we're in a hell of a game because Fulham are banging form at the minute. 10 goals in their last 2 Premier League games. They haven't had a midweek game, so it is going to be a tough one at St. James's. No doubt about that. Tony says, "Morning all. Adam Pearson said we deserved to go out last night. Couldn't believe it." Yeah, I seen his video. I think it was a little bit disappointing, but look, Adam, again, we're all going to have different opinions. I've seen a lot of people say the second half was terrible. I just think we ran out of steam. We kept going, though. We didn't give up. Not once can I accuse these lads of giving up, and we didn't. We kept going. We were a little naive in the second half, I think, but does that come from the players or was it the manager? Darren says, "Good morning, everyone. So proud of the whole club for how we've handled the first year back in the Champions League. How amazing did we do, given all the circumstances?" Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of fans like myself, were really proud. I said this on the reaction video last night. Really proud of what I watched last night. Really proud of the fight. Really proud of the effort that they've given throughout this whole Champions League campaign. Against all odds, remember. Against all odds. We were expected to be the whipping boys of this group, and that didn't happen at all. NUFC Ollie, good morning. We should have made tactical fouls yesterday when they were on the counter. It would have prevented the second goal. Milan done it to us 3 to 4 times and got bookings for it, and it shows their experience. It's a good point about the experience because I think, I mentioned this last night. It's all about experience, and AC Milan have got that in abundance. And they knew how to play the game. I thought the tactics were very strange in the first half, given that they had to get something from the game. They had to win. And I thought they were a bit negative in the first half. But when you look back, they probably got their tactics right. I think they knew we'd eventually run out of gas, which a lot of the players did, and, leave gaps at the back. And that's exactly what happened. But, this is what I mean by a learning curve. We're not going to everything's not going to be rosy in the garden all the time. You have to learn as you go on. You're always told in life that you learn by your mistakes. And Newcastle United will learn from their mistakes this time around. Just like any other. Eddie Howe will learn from his mistakes. The players will learn from their mistakes. But the players will be hungry to get back into Europe. Louis says, "I think our supporters have shown nothing but real class responding to that loss." Louis, I agree with you. The majority, without a doubt. Some of them, though, have been ridiculous. Geordie Toon for Life says, "Some of the comments on your video last night are really childish from opposing fans, Man United and Everton especially." Yeah, I've left some of them on. I've replied to them just calling them pathetic, but I have deleted some as well because I'm thinking, what gets me is when the opposition fans come onto a Newcastle United channel to make a stupid comment, and say, "Oh, we're not your rivals. We're not even thinking of you." Well, okay, we're not in your heads yet. You come on a Newcastle United channel to make comments about Newcastle United, and we're not in your heads. Strange that, isn't it? Really, really ridiculous. Ryan says, "What's next, Paul, is not to get complacent for where we are. We're here to compete for every trophy. Let's not live in flowers and roses, and let's continue to demand better and more from this team." Yeah, as fans, we're allowed to do that. We are allowed as fans to have our say. But like it is, some fair weather fans just hate anybody getting criticised. I'm going to come on to a couple of players in a minute. And I know that there'll be the players' fan clubs out there who will go into the comments and batter me for what I've got to say. But I'm a realist and I believe in what I say when I see it on the pitch. And, it's ridiculous at times. Ciderita, good morning to you. Good after last night, but at least we tried. There's a big difference between how we ended last night in the group, how we ended last in the group versus how Man United ended last in their group. We'll continue to improve. Yeah, they went out with a whimper. We went out with a fight. There's a big difference. Ian says, "I truly believe this will be good in the long run. The current reality had gotten ahead of the project. I do hope we get into Europe next year, but not the Champions League." I think Champions League is going to be a big push. If I'm honest with you, we've got a very, very difficult season ahead of us to finish in the Champions League. But look, you never know. We get players back. We get a couple more new bodies through the door in January. Things might be very, very different in the second half of the season. We may just decide. Eddie may just decide. Right, let's go for it. And you just don't know what the future holds. Could we beat Chelsea away in the quarterfinals? Absolutely. Then we've got another two-legged semi-final to look forward to. We could have another trip to Wembley. These are not beyond realism. So, we have to realise that. Mark Mullins, thank you very much for your £30 super chat. Very kind, my friend. Nobody expected us to even be nowhere near Champions League this quick. So to get as far as we have is amazing. And the whole Newcastle United setup would have learned so much. So if we can now push for fourth place and some cups. Ian Fleming, thank you for your super chat of £5. He says, "Controversial question, Paul. Do you think Eddie can take us to the elite level, or is it just squad depth and injuries that did it for us?" I've got 100% faith in Eddie Howe. I don't subscribe to all this bollocks, and Cundy was at it again on TalkSport last night, whimpering on about, has Eddie Howe taken them as far as he can go? Is he capable of taking Newcastle to the elite level? Yes, is the answer to that. Eddie Howe is a brilliant, brilliant manager, brilliant tactician, but he does get things wrong. I will say that he does get things wrong. But what I want to see is Eddie Howe not making the same mistakes over and over again. As long as somebody learns from the mistakes and moves on, no problem at all. And I believe that Eddie Howe can do that. He's so into this job. He's so committed to it. And I'll stand by what I said a few months ago. I think Eddie Howe could be an absolute legend at this football club and win us trophies. It might not be soon. It might be a couple of years down the line yet. And as I say, we're going to have a very rocky road. It's going to be up and down, up and down. It always is with Newcastle United. It has been since I was a kid supporting them. It's always a roller coaster. But for me, it's a hell of a roller coaster to be on, and I wouldn't want to be on any other roller coaster. This club is everything to me. It's everything to you guys. And we're not all going to agree on everything, but we've all got ideas where we want to see the club, and that's basically winning trophies. Greg says, "Paul, I believe injuries cost the loss last night. Pope would have saved both goals. Botman would have defended the first, and Murphy would have scored Miggy's chance. But we went out fighting." Mason says, "Someone said on the bus on the way back home, and he says, Howe is soft on the players." We've heard that many, many times. How do we know that Eddie Howe is soft on the players? We're not privy to what goes on in that dressing room. I remember Bournemouth fans saying to me when Eddie Howe first took over that he is very pragmatic in front of the cameras, but when he needs to get at the players, he will get at them behind closed doors. He will never air his dirty laundry in public. He will always keep it in the dressing room, and I think that's that's stuck by me since Eddie Howe was taken over, because everyone says, oh, he's so calm all the time. You don't know what goes on when that dressing room door's closed. And I think that's a big thing. Looney Tunes says we put our eggs in one basket. We were only looking to win. In hindsight, we should have locked down at 1-1. Carl says, I never thought I'd ever say this. We missed Murphy. Let's treat this Champions League run as a trial and a marker of where we currently are in the project. Exactly. And, the marker is, are we up there? Are we right up there? No, we're not. We're not that elite level yet. And sometimes fans get carried away if we get a couple of great results. After the Paris Saint-Germain game, everyone was absolutely buzzing. We were buzzing with everything. And, we did get carried away. We all got carried away. But why not? That's the whole point of football, isn't it? You see your club beating one of the biggest teams in Europe, in Paris Saint-Germain. We stuffed them 4-1 at St. James's Park. Why can't we get carried away? That's what football is all about. But do we get brought back down to earth very quickly? Absolutely we do. But that's the whole thing about being a Newcastle United fan. We will always get carried away. We will always be brought back down to earth with a bump, but we will always go back up again. So it's been a really good run in the Champions League. We've missed opportunities. We've had controversy, of course. The ball that went out at Dortmund, that didn't go out. Or did go out, I can't remember. We should have had a corner. Dortmund get the throw in. They go and score from that throw in. The disgraceful penalty decision in Paris. There's a lot to look back at, and think, well, some things didn't go our way. Some things did. We could have lost 6-0 in the San Siro, but we didn't. And we could have snatched that at the end, of course, with Sean's chance that that was tipped over the bar. So it's a lot of ifs and buts. It's a lot of ifs and buts, but I've really enjoyed the campaign. Paul Tully says, last night, but it's on Eddie. It wasn't just last night. It was Eddie's lack of subs in previous games to prepare for last night. Last night was our biggest game. Yep, there's another opinion coming through. Gillian says second half was a disappointment. I was so positive with the first half. Everybody was buzzing at halftime. We were 1-0 up. The other game was still 0-0. We were in the Champions League. We were through to the next round, and everybody was buzzing. But we just didn't have enough to get us over. And that's what, that's what hurt us, I think. But listen, I want to come on to a couple of players, and this is where I think people will probably either be on the side of the player or they'll agree, and this is where it'll be very different. But look, Miggy Almiron is the first one I'm going to bring up. Okay, now one thing I want to say about Miggy Almiron before I go any further is that this guy, I will never, ever, ever question his work rate and effort. Right? Not a chance in hell will I ever question Almiron in that way. What I will question is his ability in the final third. Now, I've got people coming at me last night saying, look at his defensive work rate. Fine. Absolutely look at his defensive work rate. But he's not a defender. He can't do it in the final third, and that's the difference. He's not doing it in the final third. Got a £5 super chat in from Mark Mullins. Thank you, Mark. He says, don't forget, if we hadn't been robbed in Paris, we would still be in Europe, as we would have been better on points than Milan. Yeah, we would have. And again, it swings and roundabouts. It's annoying. But back to Miggy. You look at the Everton game, he had a wonderful chance to score, fluffed it. Tottenham, wonderful chance to score, fluffed it. These are all at important points of the game, right? Very important parts of the game. When the score is still pretty much level, and that goal can change a game. We know what goals can do in football games, and the goals that, if he put them away, could have changed the game. Last night, that miss is unexplainable, and it's not good enough, right? I've watched it numerous times this morning, and I cannot believe it was absolutely perfect for him just to knock that in with his right foot before Tomori even had a chance to clear it. It should have been in the back of the net. There is no excuse for letting it come across his body and try and put it in with his left foot. He just has no faith on his right foot, not even from 1 yard out. And that is where the quality lets us down. Miggy's work rate is fine, but work rate does not win your football matches unless you've got ability. And Miggy's ability, he'll score a few goals here and there and go on a goal scoring run, but he's an average player, guys. He's not the elite level we need. He's just not. And I don't see how anybody can say that Miggy Almiron is an elite player. He's a good player or he's an average player. But when it comes to Champions League and we need that quality from 1 yard out, just let it hit your foot and it goes in the goal. I just can't believe that he missed that. And look, he tried a few crosses into the box on his left foot last night as well. They were rotten. They weren't even at head height for anybody to header half the time. And, it's annoying for me because, Miggy's such a nice guy. He really is. He enjoys his football, but he's not what we need anymore. He's had about 3 good months at Newcastle since he's been at the club. And I don't, there's a lot of fans have blinkers on when it comes to Miggy because of him being such a nice guy, because of him having a big smile on his face. He might be a useful squad player, but he's first 11, and it's not good enough. If he'd scored last night and then Joe Linton gets the second, for me, the game is gone. Milan, heads down, will not be back in that game. There will be no reason for us to push forward and try and get more goals, which didn't leave gaps for Milan at the back. It's a very, very different story had Miggy scored that. And I know there's other players missed chances, etc. But come on, let's be honest. I mean, if you're realistically honest, you cannot say that comment that I got last night saying, how did you expect Miggy to score on his right foot because he was standing on it? I mean, dear me. You look at that over and over again. That was there. That was a simple tap in with his right foot. And yes, Tomori made a brilliant, brilliant tackle to deny him scoring on his left foot, but he shouldn't have been allowed there. It just shouldn't. He shouldn't have even had a sniff. And this is the difference. And, yes, Miggy will run around, but you can't just win games running around a football field without having the quality at the end of it. And he hasn't got it. And I'll stand by it. It's my opinion on that. I just don't think he's good enough. Yasindu says, let's just hold off on Isak slander for a minute. With Wilson back full time, it will push Isak to be at his best too. Well, I mean, look, Isak came on last night. What did he do? He was on the left. I didn't see much from Isak last night. We've got to be better in certain places. We really have. Ken says, late tuning in this morning, so good morning to everyone. Absolutely gutted about last night. And yes, I have my own thoughts where it went wrong last night. I've had enough of Miggy to start with. Yeah, a lot of people have, but you get slated for it, and it's ridiculous. Toon Gamer, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. He says, Miggy has been with us a long time. How can he not use his right foot? What does he do in training? Bang on. Bang on. Paul Mason says, this channel has guided me into being a Toon supporter. I'm new to all this. The channel explains it in a way I understand. Keep up the great work. I'm still waiting for my mug I've won a while back. Don't worry, Paul. Don't worry. It will be sent to you, matey. Julie J says, Miggy not good enough anymore. He had that purple patch and Jack Grealish mocked him. 100%. And that's what I mean. This is what Miggy does. He has purple patches. It's not good enough. It just isn't. And I'm like I say, I've got no hatred towards Miggy. I think he's a lovely guy. And look, he's been a good servant to the football club. But if Newcastle United want to be at an elite level, we can't keep playing the same players over and over again to see whether they'll come good or they'll hit a purple patch. The right-hand side was something we should have addressed in the summer. We didn't. We lost out on Diaby, whether we were interested in him or not. He obviously went to Villa. Could Madison have played there? You just don't know. But it was a position that we all knew needed addressing, and it wasn't. And, yes, Miggy's had a purple patch here and there, but my God, it was just dreadful. Dreadful finish last night. And for me, it's put us in a situation where these are the real key moments in football games that will either see you through to the next round or dump you out of Europe. And that's the thing. Roger says Miggy ran his tits off. However, even when he's doing that, he looked challenged. His turning onto his left ear is far too obvious. Onto his left, sorry, is far too obvious. Even to us seeing what's coming, upgrade needed. Exactly. And this is the thing. He's got no right foot. Of course, teams have worked him out. You know, you look how difficult now when they play this little triangle system in the right-hand corner. You know, you've got Miggy and Bruno and Trippier, right? You look at the last few games, and we've just been found out. It's the same over and over again on that right-hand side. Why they don't get the crossing very quickly when you've got a player like Callum Wilson in the box, I do not know. I can't answer that. Only Eddie can. And that's obviously an instruction from the manager. But when it's different when you got Isak there, because for me, he's not an out-and-out number 9. Callum Wilson is. He thrives on balls into the box. But then when you're pussyfooting around so many passes, it eventually breaks down. And it broke down numerous times last night. But they just know as soon as Miggy's pelting down the right, they know exactly what he's going to do. He's not going to go to the byline, whip it in on his right foot. He's going to stop, turn back, lay it back off to Trippier, and then in that triangular passing formation, and they tried it numerous times last night, numerous times they lost the ball. Sometimes they were tackled, sometimes they went out for a throw-in, and, you know, it just ended, you know, it really did. Looney Tunes says, Miggy's final touch is awful. I love his passion, but we need someone with more skill in that position. Don't care about trophies. All I wanted is what we have, a great positive setup. Eddie is the perfect manager for us. Ups and downs are part of the journey. I agree, but I'd love to see, you know, trophies are important. Let's be honest. You know, that's the whole point of Eddie and the you know, the new owners being here. They want to win trophies. Will it be difficult? Absolutely. We've seen that already. But we are ahead of where we should be. I Like Coffee says, I had a wild thought, but any chance we can get Tomori from AC Milan? He'd be a fabulous signing. He really would be. David says, Eddie is learning as the club, as is the club. I think the club would be silly to replace him and be back to the drawing board. I don't see anybody. You know, look, one thing the owners do is they love Eddie Howe, and they will do everything they can to back him. They won't agree on everything. That's the whole part of business. You know what I mean? They won't agree on everything. You know, somebody will have an idea, but the rest of them won't agree with it. And it's how they come to a compromise. But it's important that they stay level-headed during the transfer window and they bring in who they feel will do a job for us. Spike says, proud of the boys. We're too early in the project. Too many injuries and not enough depth on the bench. We'll get there. Yun says, play Miggy at left back. I bet he'd be good. Do you know what? He spends most of his time at right back. And yes, he does help out defensively. Of course he does. I'm not saying that for a second. But, you know, that's as far as it goes. He helps out defensively and runs around. I just don't. I don't see why people have these blinkers on. And when you mention Miggy, oh no, you hate him. You hate him. It's not called hate. It's just bloody criticism because he's not great. Ian says, not a man, just don't want to see LFC getting big bucks for shit players. Why don't they buy our pensioners for silly money? Yeah. John says, Hope made a great point last night that Bruno or Isak failed to see the danger of the break for the second goal and didn't give away a tactical foul. The more streetwise Milan did it all night. Yeah, you know, you look back at that replay and it's clear as day. It really is clear as day. You know, they had a chance to maybe just pull the shirt back or something like that. Take a yellow card, move on, but don't concede a goal. I don't know what Dan Burn was doing for the second goal. He knew fine well the player was behind him, but he came right across and just left him. You know, those are the fine margins. And obviously, you know, Dan Burn hasn't played for a while, not up to speed. You can understand that in a little way. Paul says, Miggy defending and work rate is something we can get in another player who actually creates and finishes. We needed Miggy of late when others weren't out firing, and he's done absolutely nothing. Yep. You tell me, a left-footed player, right? The chances that he had against Everton and Tottenham, I mean, you know, a proper left-footed player, just bend it in the corner. And both attempts were powder puff shots straight at the goalkeeper. Look at his assists. Does he get many? No. You know, the stats are there to back up what we're saying about Miggy. He's not the only one. He isn't the only one. But, when you're in a position like Miggy and you've got to try and score goals, you need the quality. And especially in the Champions League. And unfortunately, we just haven't had it. Mark says Trippier needs to take some responsibility as well as Bruno and Isak for the 2 goals. Both simple mistakes, not making the tackle. Billy says, well said, Paul. Gordon's not world class, but Miggy is average. To get back in the Champions League, we need a top European wide forward because Champions League is based on European style, not the Premier League. Indeed, and you can see that when you look at certain games that we've played in the Champions League and we've watched the opposition. They've been very good at what they do. We like Milan last night, very dull in the first half, but they had a game plan and it eventually worked. But they've got some class players. You look at that, the way Giroud for that first goal. Somebody like a Miggy, for example, would have swung a foot at that and tried to put it in the back of the net. Giroud, with the football brain he had, he saw Pulisic in a perfect position and just laid the pass off to him. Didn't panic, cool under pressure. That's the type of players you're talking about. That just have that nous up there as well. Giroud has never been a pacey footballer, but what he has got is a brilliant football brain and a brilliant finish. And he's been a brilliant footballer over his career. But they're the types of players that we kind of need moving forward. The ones with the football brains, know how to finish, know how to pass, and know how to cause problems. Giroud was a thorn in our side all night last night. He had a hell of a battle with Lascelles all through the game. It was a good battle to watch, but you want somebody like that. Gary says, I think a lot of players got sloppy in the final third. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. We had a few shots from Callum last night, which was straight at the goalkeeper. Bruno, of course, had a few. But the thing is, it's just you've got to look at it in more detail, and you've got to look back over how Miggy's done since he's been at the club. And like I said, no one will ever question his heart and desire. It's quality. And I will never, ever question Miggy's heart and desire for Newcastle, but I will question the quality. Ryan says, I agree, Paul. If we're judging off work rate, we may as well be talking about track and field. Yeah, go and be a sprinter or something, Nathan says, Eddie has had his chance to rest players in recent fixtures. Eddie has to start taking some responsibility. It's not good enough. I think so. See, this is what I mean. I don't understand why you blame Miggy for a team performance. Right. Okay. The team played well last night. Right. We didn't play badly. We ran out of gas in the second half, but I don't think we played badly at all. I think we gave it everything we can. What I'm talking about is the crucial parts of the game. When they fall to Miggy Almiron, 9 out of 10 times, he fucks it up, right? Completely. And he's done it now in 3 games running. 3 games running. He has had the opportunity to score very important goals for us, and he's fluffed every single one of them. Where's the crossing coming in from Miggy? It never happens. And when he does, it's bull rot. It's not good. I'm talking about quality here, not the team performance. Miggy is in one of those positions that for the team, he is there to create and score goals. He's not doing any of it. Defenders are there to defend. Miggy is a forward, and he's there to create and score goals. He doesn't do it. The majority of the time, anyway, he doesn't do it. He scored some really good goals lately, but the majority of the time doesn't do it at all. I know we've got Harvey Barnes to come back as well, but you know what Eddie's like with these inverted wingers? Does he play Harvey Barnes on his right foot? Because right now, I'd rather have Harvey Barnes over Miggy on that right-hand side. I'd have Murphy on the right-hand side over Miggy, because Murphy can use his left and right foot. So there's a big difference putting Murphy there, because he can still be an inverted winger, whether he can, but he can get to the byline and whip a cross in on his right. He can cut in, cross on his left. He can also cut in and shoot on his left. He's done it many times. Dave says, I'm not sure why getting frustrated with Miggy. Yes, he will be upgraded. Until then, we are stuck with him. Trippier, while fantastic, has cost us quite a few goals over this and last season. I'm not sure I agree with that. Yes, he's had some poor games, Trippier, no doubt about it. But cost us quite a few goals over this and last season. Not quite sure. Not quite sure. AY says Miggy has been dreadful this season offensively. Ari here, Paul Tully, how anyone can comment on Barnes is bizarre. Look, Barnes will come back, and I'm sure Barnes will make a difference to this squad, as will Botman, etc. When they come back from injuries, Willock as well. We know what these players are capable of. We've got a very, very, very strong squad when we're 100% fit. But Eddie's got to try and change things a little bit. He can't keep going on with the same players. He can't keep his trust in the same players that aren't getting the results. This game against Fulham on Saturday is massive. It's absolutely huge because Fulham are playing well. They're scoring goals. They're not conceding goals. And yes, it's at St. James's Park. We are very good at home. But Fulham have had a week off. They are itching to get back on the pitch, scoring more goals. It will not be easy on Saturday. And, if we don't get a result on Saturday against Fulham, then, we're going to get more and more of this bandwagon of Eddie out coming in and saying, he's took us as far as he can go. Will the pressure ramp up on Eddie Howe? Yes, it will. Of course it will. But Eddie feels that pressure anyway, and he thrives on that pressure. So we just have to hope. I do have a big fear for Saturday that he puts Dan Burn straight in at left back, because if Trippier's suspended anyway, so it doesn't matter if he's injured or not. But if he puts Livramento right back and he throws Dan Burn straight in, because Dan Burn for me last night didn't look 100% at all. He was all over the shop. So does he put Lewis Hall in? I don't think so, because he's got no faith in Lewis Hall. And that's blatantly obvious. He didn't bring him on again last night when he could have put him further up the field. So, questions. There's a lot of questions to be asked. Paul's first season back in the Champions League, and we showed a great account of ourselves. But we were better than those PSG and Milan sides. Neither are as good as they were, or people think they are, which is a kicker. Listen, we had opportunities, didn't we? And that's the thing that I think will frustrate the players and fans more than anything, is that we have had chances to put these games to rest, and we didn't do it. But it's not just the Champions League. We've done that this season, of course. We've done that in the Premier League. It really does. It really feels like you're looking for someone to blame for the results, and Miggy's the easiest target for you. From a fellow Paraguayan is sad to hear. Well, that's why you're backing Miggy, isn't it? Because he's a Paraguayan. You're not seeing past your blinkers. I'm not blaming Miggy for everything, and I'm not blaming Miggy for the results. What I'm saying is, had he scored those opportunities, those results could be very different. That's what he is there to do: score goals and create goals, and he's doing neither. Why is it so hard for people to realize that, or even see that? That's what I don't understand. DJ Neville says form is temporary, class is permanent. Miggy Almiron went through a very good run of form. We should have sold him last summer and got decent money for him and brought in Diaby. I agree. John says Miggy isn't good enough. Simple. Experience is everything in Europe. Milan definitely showed theirs. Yeah, and they did it very well. Now, moving away from Miggy, Isak for me did nothing when he came on last night onto the left. I was very, very interested to see how he would do playing on that left-hand side, because I thought, right, we've been saying that maybe number 9 isn't his position. Cutting in from the left certainly is. Now, he was on the pitch for about 5 minutes, and he cut in and had a shot over the bar, and I thought, get in. He's really up for this. He's fired up. He wants to do it. But then nothing. He didn't try and take many people on. He was very, slow. And he's been like that for a while now. He's been, whether that's fitness, I don't know. Toon Gamer, thank you for your 199 super chat. We are bottom 3 for balls in the box in the league. That says it all. That says it all. And yes, Anthony Gordon has to take some responsibility for that, and so do the midfielders. We just keep knocking it around in these positions and don't get crosses in, which is very frustrating. But I don't, like I say, I don't know what's happening with Alexander Isak. It's frustrating me. Dubravka is another one. That the goalkeeper is a big problem for us. It's what, 9 goals in 3 games that Dubravka's conceded. Now, listen, the goals that he conceded last night, I don't think he had a chance with. I think he got a finger on the second one. The first one was from like 3 yards out. I don't think he was to blame for either of those goals. But what I will say is what I said at the start. When you look at the breakaway that Liao had, the chance that Tamori had, those ones that hit the post, he's just static. He's very static. You expect a goalkeeper, when a player is in that situation in the box, just to come out, charge them down. Look what Peter Schmeichel used to do. He used to stay big for as long as he possibly could, but he would come out at you and make that angle very, very difficult. But Liao, obviously, he could go near post or far post last night. He did hit the post, but Tamori again, Dubravka stays back. He doesn't come and charge him down. Now, that for me is just wrong. And these are the areas that are huge for us. I think personally that our centre backs did okay last night. Lascelles' passing was pretty incredible, actually, and the stats are there to back that up. But it just wasn't to be. But there is, like I said, there is those certain positions that I think have to be pivotal to the future of Newcastle United. We need a striker, but we need to address the right hand side, and it's all great getting a fantastic striker in, but if we're not getting balls into the box for him, what the hell's the point of him being there? You look and think, how many times do we pass it around before we put that ball into the penalty area? And 7 out of 10 times the ball doesn't even get to the penalty area because it goes out. That needs improvement, and that needs to be looked at in the January window for me. We need to improve the right-hand side. If we're going to go and get a striker, then Christ, we need somebody who's going to put the end product in. We didn't have the end product with Maxi. He could take players on for fun, but when it came to the final third, he didn't have it. And Anthony Gordon, he does have it. He can finish, he can cross, he can take people on. But we've been expecting a hell of a lot from Anthony Gordon lately. So it could be a blessing that we less games for the rest of the season, even though it's a real kick in the nuts that we're out of Europe, but it can work in our favour. But as long as the club address the situation and address the positions that we know as fans need addressing. Everybody said in the summer, we need another striker. Everybody said in the summer, we need to address the right-hand side. We didn't. And it's come to bite us in the arse. Yes, Miggy can be a squad player. Absolutely. No problem with that at all. But he's not at the elite level we need on that right-hand side to create opportunities and to score goals on a regular basis. And that's what you need. But look, it's clear that we're on the right path. And I think that's the most important thing to finish the show on, is we're on the right path. We got into the Champions League when nobody expected us to. We talk about the plan that the new owners had when they came into the club. They didn't expect to get in the Champions League as quick as we did. Now, that's down to Eddie Howe and the players who did a magnificent job getting us there. But when you're there, you've got to be cutthroat and make decisions that, yes, those players got us there, but at the same time, we want to stay there. We have to get improvements in the team. And the manager himself needs to improve. His game management's been mentioned a lot of times by supporters. His substitutions have been mentioned a lot of times. So he will learn that as he goes as well. Mark Mullins, thank you for signing up for membership. Welcome to the Toon Review Members Club. So he will learn as well. And I think in the future, we will see very different Eddie Howe. Hopefully we will. Hopefully he's learned that we do need to make changes at certain times, etc. But look, January is going to be huge for us, isn't it? It's going to be huge. If we can get, over the Chelsea hurdle in the quarterfinals of the Carabao, next year should be absolutely fantastic. The back end of the second part of this season should be incredible. If we can get into a semi-final of a Carabao Cup again, get past Sunderland in the FA Cup. Look, in all honesty, rivalry aside, that's a difficult game. Sunderland will be up for that game, and nobody can say any other. They will be dying to play us, especially the last few results we've had. They'll be up for it 100%. So we have to be up for it as well. And I think if we play at our very best, we will beat Sunderland. They are not as good as us, but it's who wants it on the day. And we have to be very, very ready for that and not have a Cambridge United, Sheffield Wednesday kind of game. Because if we do, then we'll get rolled over. And that's just not acceptable. But you think what the second half of the season can bring for us. Good cup runs and no European football, so we can really concentrate on the Premier League and finish as high as we can. Do I think we'll get top 4? I can't say right now because I don't know who we're going to bring in January. At the end of January, then maybe we can answer that question together and say, right, we've got really good squad here. We're getting players are back from injury. We can give this a really good go. So for me, there's still a lot to look forward to this season. Yes, there's some negatives from last night and going out of Europe, and we know the positions on the pitch that we think need improving. But at the same time, there is a lot to look forward to. The future is still very, very bright at this football club. We've got some wonderful young players coming in. You've got Livramento coming through, Lewis Miley. There's a lot of positives in this football club right now. And it's just, we just have to wait and see what happens in the window. And then by the end of the transfer window, we will then see what's available to us and, our dreams. Hopefully we'll still be in the Carabao. I think we can turn Chelsea over at Stamford Bridge. I don't think they're anything to worry about, quite honestly, but it depends how we turn up. But I'm really excited to see what the rest of the season brings now. Bring on January. And then we go from there. Woofer, thank you very much for your £2 super chat. What about Isak did FA and not just in this game? Yeah, I've mentioned him, mate. I don't know what's going on with Isak at the minute, but I think he looks lethargic, as Julie J says there, but I think he needs to kick up the arse, quite frankly, as well. It's not about match fitness now. He's had plenty of games to get match fit, and he just isn't. So I think he needs to kick up the arse personally, but there's a few of them do. But listen, Let's just be positive now, okay? We know the positions that need filling. We know what needs doing, and let's hope it gets done in January. And then players back as well from injury. Let's get past Chelsea in the Carabao. Let's just have a fantastic second half to the season, which I truly believe we can. Marx has been 10 months of being a member and a brilliant 10 months. Thanks to Paul's, Billy's, and Stato's hard work and being part of this amazing family. Thank you very much. But there you go, guys. Let's just, we can be critical. As fans, we can be critical. It doesn't mean we hate somebody. Let's just remember that. I don't hate Miggy Almiron. I don't rate him as a player, but I don't hate him. I love his attitude to the game. I love his work rate. I love his energy. I just wish he had a better final third in him. But you know what? That's just what football's all about. It's about opinions. But hatred, no. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching this morning, guys. Great turnout again. Thank you so much for your support on these morning shows. Really do enjoy doing them and having your interaction in them as well. I will still do some daily news shows as well. If there's anything to go through, like a 10-minute recorded video, still want to do them, of course. But don't forget, tonight at 7 o'clock, we've got the match review. Me, Billy, and Stato will take a more in-depth look at the game itself and what went wrong. And what was a positive to take from it, and of course the player ratings as well, so you can take part in all of them. But before you leave, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, guys. Very, very important to the channel that we keep those likes coming in. And of course, if you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Come and be part of an incredible community here on the Toon Review, as well as hitting that notification bell, which will let you know when we upload or we go live. But thank you very much. We will see you at 7 o'clock. Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you soon. Take care.
Come back and check out some green.